All right, I think we have to start now. I was waiting for other people to join as they told me earlier on. So, but I think we have to start, and then the lesson will be recorded. They will join later. Right. Spreadsheet features. One, conditional formatting, and then we'll be looking at data validation. We will also look at freeze pane. We will look at autofill, and then subtotal. Then if we still have enough time, we'll be looking at wildcard, and then finally GRAPHS. So basically, today's lesson, we are going to focus on the various topics that are left regarding spreadsheet. Right, so we will start from conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting automatically changes cell appearance based on certain rules. For instance, if we are to fill range of cells whereby the values are less than 50. Now, conditional formatting has the following rules. First of all, we have format all cells based on their values. This one is used based on the minimum and the maximum values from a range. So let's say greater than this or less than that. And then we also have format only cell that contains, and that one format value that are between, equals to, less than, and then greater than. Then we also have format only top or bottom rules or rank values. Then we have format only values that are above or below average. So this one, you don't need to calculate the average first. There's a criteria there that says above or below average. And then we also have format only unique or duplicate values. And then the last part is the formula one. Now, in most cases, grade 12, they like asking these three, the formula one, the unique or duplicate values, above or below average. Now, the other ones, most of the time they ask in grade 11, the color scales and others as well. Right, now let's take a look at some of the questions regarding these spreadsheet features like sort, filter, autofill, freeze pane, data validation, format painter, and then subtotal. These are the spreadsheet features that you should always expect in your question papers. And then after that, we will also be looking at wildcards. Like we have the asterisk, that is any number of characters. For instance, if you say A with the asterisk, that means begins with letter A. For example, apple, agric, and the rest. Now, if you put asterisk or star A, it means that it ends with letter A. For an example, maybe any letter that ends with, any word that ends with letter A. That is how it's going to derive. And then we also have the question mark, which represents any one character. For instance, if you put B with a question mark G, it will take or to match something like big. That means the I will be the character that is missing. And then also bag with a U, that means there's a character that is in between. And then BAG also. Right. So basically, these two wildcards are commonly used in spreadsheet and also database. So we'll be looking at it today regarding spreadsheet. Now, let me start with the first question here. One activity. Open the one activity spreadsheet and work in the race worksheet. Change the headings in cell A5 to H5 as shown in the example below. So here we can see that the headings have been rotated up. So that is also one of the spreadsheet features. So let me open that file. That's one activity. I must say that these files are also shared with you. So if you have your devices with you, as well as the these files, you can also practice with me. Now, raise worksheet. And according to this question, we need to format it so that it displays as in the question. Right. So we need to highlight these values. And then it's part of the orientation. And then we can find the orientation from either the alignment group, or we just go to the orientation with this arrow and then we rotate up. So basically, this is what the question wanted us to do. Then we can also wrap the text and then we drag it. Yeah, so it was rotated up. Right, now let's check the next question. To general, that question also. To general worksheet. It says we should work in sheet 1 as follows. Format the merge cell by filling the cell with the diagonal up shading style. So I'll open that one as well. Right, so I'm going to use sheet 1. It says A1. We should fill in with a diagonal up shading style. So when you go there, how do we fill in? You go to the alignment group or any of the groups, click on the arrow, fill, and then you see the pattern, look for the diagonal up. Each of them has a name. Diagonal, where is it? Yeah, diagonal stripe. And then here, any color. Right, then the next question. It says, fill, or the first color should be green and then the second color should be orange. So basically, this is also another question. This is the question regarding, so let me use that one for the second one. Also how to fill through the alignment. And then this time around, we are going to use fill effect. That's the gradient fill. The first color should be green. And then the second color should also be orange. Then, okay. Right. So that's what the question wanted us to do. Now let's move straight to the next question. Data validation should be applied to cell G3. Use the table in M5 to enable the user to select from the options. Right, now, data validation, like we all know in database, validation rule, and then also lookup wizard or drop down. In spreadsheet, we can also apply the same effect. Now, this question says in G3, we need to put data validation so that when we click, we can have a drop down. And then the drop down values are here in column M. So how do we apply this data validation? Now, first of all, what you need to do is we go to data, and then you will find data validation. You will find data validation under the data tools. Then you choose data validation. Now, anytime you want to use drop down, which is like a lookup, what you do is where it says allow any value, we choose a list. Now the source, you click here to go and select the source. Now the question says the list is here in column M. So we select this source. And then you click again on this arrow. Right, then okay. So when we go and click here, we will see the list over here. So basically, this is how we apply the list or the data validation. Now, let's look at the same question. There's another way of data validation. It says, use a spreadsheet feature to fill all cells of the members who have emerald value or emerald in column G with red color. Okay, we will come to that one. I will skip this question because this is conditional formatting. I'm going to skip this question. Now let's go to this one. It says work in the ID worksheet. Use a spreadsheet feature. You know, in most cases, they won't tell you what kind of spreadsheet feature should you use. But now whenever you see that there is a validation rule, now it says to force the user. Here the question says to force the user to enter an integer, which is a whole number that cannot be greater than 5. Add an input message, maximum 5 dependent, that the user will receive if wrong data is entered. Now, we are going to work from the ID worksheet and then the dependent according to the question. So we don't want the dependent to be more than 5, because the question says that cannot be greater than 5. That means it must be up to 5. So you go and select the values in that column. And then again, we go to data and then data validation. But now this time around, the data validation, when you go there, we don't choose any value, but we choose whole number, which is the same as the integer. It's not a list, but also watch out for these. It could be time, or it could be date, or it could be test length. But in most cases, they ask either list or a whole number. Now here, we are going to put our validation rule. And the question says it cannot be more than 5. That means less than or equals to. So here, instead of between, we choose less than or equal to. And then we put 5. Now the input message, that's the validation text in database. So the input message or the error alert, the question will tell you. So here it says input message. So we need to put our input message over here, maximum 5. According to the question, let's check again. It says max 5 dependent. The input message should be max 5 dependent. And then okay. So it means that you cannot type more than 5. So if I type 6 here, it's going to give me that error. That means you have typed more than 5. So you need to make the correction, and the validation text will always be displayed here. So basically, this is the validation, data validation spreadsheet feature. You must watch out for such type of question. Right, so under the same data or the same file, it says use a spreadsheet feature to fill all cells of members who have emerald or emerald value option with a red color. Now, so we go back to our sheet 1. The members are in the option, so we select and then conditional formatting. Then here, highlight rules. They say that contains emerald. So you choose the highlight rules. You can say cell that contain. You can just say text that contains emerald. And then you go to custom, and then we choose our red font. So the font color should be red. Then okay. Right. So all the emerald or emerald value will be in red font. This is conditional formatting. Now let's move straight to the next question. The next question also 5 activity. Right. It says information regarding the teams that qualify for the Soccer World Cup 2022 is given in the 5 activity. Now, format the spreadsheet so that no grid line appears and adjust the scale to 100%. So that's the first one. So we have to open 5 activity. Yeah, 5 activity. Now, according to the question, it says we must format the spreadsheet from the team's worksheet so that there won't be any grid line with 100% scale. So how do we go there? We go there by clicking on the page layout. So page layout, anything that deals with the worksheet, we go to page layout. And then we see page setup. You click there. Or you can even see them here. You'll find a scale to 100%. You can just type them. And then according to the question, no grid lines should be printed. Let's check again. No grid lines appears, yes. So we have grid lines with a view. That means no grid lines should appear. If you want grid lines to be printed, you also take that one. So this question says no grid lines should appear, neither should it be printed. Again, we also have the headings. If you don't want the headings to show, the column headings and then the row headings, if the question says so. Now, here we need it to show. If, let's say, the question again wants you to print something, the titles, you take that side, and then again, print an area. You can also go to set print area. All the sheet options, you go there, and then we have the sheet. So let's say we want the first row to be repeated. Then we just click here and select the first row. Then you go back there. Right, we also have the column, and then we also have the page order. So we have to look at for that. Right, now let's check the next question. Format cell C6 to appear as the other headers in row 6. Right. We have to make sure that the C6, which is this one, appears as the others. Now, if you want one particular cell to appear as the others, we use a spreadsheet feature called Format Painter, which you can find it under the clipboard. So you click on the existing or those cells that have already been formatted. You click on it. Click also on the Format Painter, this one, and then you will see a brush. Go and click on the teams. Now it will be formatted the same as the other ones. So Format Painter is a spreadsheet feature used to format a particular cell or range of cells to be like the rest. So that is what we call the Format Painter. You don't need to go and check them before you go and apply the Format Painter. Now let's go to the next question. Use a spreadsheet feature in column D to display themes that automatically qualify in green shading. So this is also conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. Formatting based on a certain criteria. Now, all those who qualify should be in green for column D. So this is column D, and please, I'll always urge learners, anytime you are applying conditional formatting, don't select the entire column, please. Just select only the range of cells that contain the values. Do not even include the heading. Otherwise, you might be penalized. So here we select only the values. Now the question says those who automatically qualify, that is automatic. You go to conditional formatting. So if it is text, you can either use highlight cell rules, and then you can use text that contains. So here I can just say automatic or just type auto. You don't need to type all of them. So it will highlight that one, and it should be in green. So we go to custom format. Let's check what should be in green shading. So we go to fill and we choose green color. Right. So basically, this is how we apply conditional formatting based on text. Now let's go through other questions here. For excursions. That's our next question. For excursions. So I'll open that one as well and then see what type of auto spreadsheet features are there. For excursions. Now, according to the question, it says, a data validation has been applied. A data validation has been applied to column H. Modify the data validation rule for column H to accept only dates in December 2023. Now, only date in December 2023. Now, let's check the data files here. In column H, they already applied data validation. So we need to go and check by going back to data and then data validation. Now they have already done data validation here. Date, allow date. Like I said earlier, they can also ask you that type of question, allow date or allow time. Now the question says only date in December 2023. So we have to modify it. Now we can see the start date is 1st of January 2022. But the question says it should only be December 2023. So we made a mistake here. It should be 1st of January 2023 up to 31st January. So we need to change this. This should be 2023. And then this should be 01. So it should be from 1st of January 2023 up until 31st January 2023. So you take here, apply these changes to all other cells with the same settings so that it will affect the whole column. And then okay. So now, only date in 2023 will be applied. Now let's check other questions again. It says, use a data validation feature to circle invalid data. Now here, there are some data that are invalid. So we want to circle that. How do we do that? You need to select the column. You want to see those data that are invalid. You select, go to data validation, and then you see here, circle invalid data. You click there, it's going to circle all the invalid data for you. But I think here, because we have corrected it, so now you see that all of them are from January 2023 up until 31st. If there was any date that is outside this, let's say, for instance, this is 2024. Okay, this one, there was a restriction. There was a restriction already, so you cannot change it. Let's say there was a date whereby they changed the two, then it's going to circle that one. So you always go to data validation, and then you choose this one, circle invalid data. Circle invalid data. So let's say maybe I even type number. There's already validation rule, so it will be difficult for you to make changes to that. I wanted to check if there's a date that is outside, but there's nothing like that. So basically, you select and then you go to data validation, then you choose circle invalid data. Now, the next question, create a screenshot of cells H5 to H30 showing the circled invalid data and paste it. So here, if there was something that is already invalid, I wanted to have a date. And then you just take a screenshot and then you paste it. We don't have that file here. So all the invalid data was going to be circled. Right. So don't forget the data validation. Now let's move on to the next question as well. I'm going to take a look at conditional formatting that involves calculations. 3 theories. Let's open it also. Right. Now, according to the question, format cell A3 to appear exactly the same as A19. So we have to use all the same A3 to be the same as A19. So what you do is you select A19, click on Format Painter, and then you go and select this one. It's going to be automatically formatted. Right. The next question, format cells A4 to G4 to display as shown below. So this one was also rep text. It was rep text. And then I think it was also middle aligned, centered vertically and horizontally. That is the one that we have here. Then apply conditional formatting to cell F20 to F31 to format the cells with a blue fill color. When the amount for shopping in a particular month in 2021 is greater than the amount for shopping in the same month for 2020. Now, this is where learners always struggle. Conditional formatting based on a formula. That is where most grade 12 learners struggle to answer. Now, according to the question, we must apply conditional formatting to this range of cells to be filled in green color whenever the corresponding value for 2021 is greater than the value for 2020. So, first of all, we have to select the range of cells that we need to apply the conditional formatting. Now, when you go to conditional formatting, we choose new rule. Conditional formatting, new rule. Then we have select a rule type. Like I explained earlier, we have the first one based on their values. That's where we have the color scales and others. We have cell that contains like between and less than. We have top and bottom. We also have above and below average, unique and duplicate. And the last one here is the calculation. In this case, this is the one that we are going to use. So you go there and then you click on the corresponding value for 2021. If it is greater than the value for 2020. Now, it's going to give you a dollar sign, which is absolute. We don't need it because it must have a relative. January must correspond to January. February must also correspond to February. Now, if there is a dollar sign, you are going to get an error. So we need to remove this dollar sign. Be careful when you are removing it. Don't try to use the arrow. It's going to give you a problem. Go and click on each and remove the dollar sign. It should be a relative one. Right, so it should be F20 greater than F5. Then it will go to F21 greater than F6, like that. Then we go to format, fill. Let's check the question. It says it should be filled with a blue color. So blue color, and then okay. So all the values that are greater than this will be highlighted in blue color. Right. So basically, this is all about the conditional formatting with a formula. Now let's go to the next question of conditional formatting. 3 marathon, let's check this one. Setting print area always on top, and then the logo with the alternative text. Let's check that question as well. We will try as much as possible to solve more questions so that you understand these key areas. Remember, June examination is around the corner, as well as prep. You will need these. Now let's move straight to 3 marathon. The first question says, set the print area. Set the print area to cells A2, A12 to E62. And then ensure that row 2 will always remain on top when printed. Right, so the print area from A, let's see which worksheet, participant worksheet. So the print area from A12 to E62. So from here up until E62. Like I said, print area, you'll find it under page layout. If you don't know, you can just go to search print area. You are going to see it. And then you click on set print area. So this side here will be set as the print area. We have a lot of items here, but when you print, only that part will be shown. Only that part will be shown, right? And then we should also, again, the question is requesting us to ensure that only row 2 remain on top. Now, you go to the scale or page setup, then the sheet tab, you'll find rows to repeat. Click on this arrow and then you select row 2. Then you go back and click here and then okay. So that is how we do this type of question. And also add the text marathon logo as the alternative text on the image in cell A3. So there's an image here. We want the alt text. Now, when you right click on the image, you will see view alternative text. Then you can now type that alternative text. Alternative text will be marathon logo. Right. That is it. Now we move straight to, don't forget, if you have any question, you may also ask. I will respond to various questions as well. Now, the next question here involves I think I will leave this for accommodation question for you. If you have this data, you'll be able to do this. Here, they ensure that they put a line up, top, and down, and then they made sure that they ref text and then to fit in. Then 3-car sales also, there's indentation and then color scale. So I'm going to take that one and solve that question with you. 3-car sales. Right. Now, let's go straight to the question. It says, merge and center A1 to J1. So we go to A1 up until J1. And then we merge and center. Then the next question says, apply a distributed, that is indent horizontal text alignment with an indent of 13. So here is an alignment also. Like I said, there's an indent already here, increase and decrease indent. But then when you go to the alignment group, then you will see indent. The question says it should be indented at 13. So you type 13 here, and then it should be distributed. And then 13, then okay. Right, so that the text will be distributed within this cell. Then the next question, apply a spreadsheet feature to cells C9 up until I20 to display the percentage values of 0 to 50 in 2-color scale format. So this is conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. Change the color of the minimum value to blue. So 0 to 50. So we select all these values here. And then we put a color scale from conditional formatting. Go to new rule. And then color scale is the first one. That is format all cells based on their values. So here we have 2-color scale. We have 3-color scale. We have the data bar and then icon set. So here we choose 2-color scale. Then according to the question, the minimum value. So we choose number. And then the maximum also number. So the minimum value should be 0 and then the maximum should be 50. Then according to the question, minimum value, the color should be blue. So we change the color to blue color. Then okay. Right. So basically, this is what the question wanted us to do. And then well, that is from C9 up until I20. Let's check C9 up until I20. Yes, that is it. Right. Now the next question. 3 population. We try to sort out most of the questions regarding the conditional formatting and other spreadsheet features. Open 3 population spreadsheet that contains the population and area of Ireland. Now you have been given this one that says use a 3 flag icon set. So when the area is greater than or equals to 280,000, it should be green. If it is from 30,001 up until 279,999, it should be orange. And if it is from 0 up until 30,000, it should be red. So with this, we always use the minimum value where it's starting. And then we use a 3 flag icon. That's the icon set. Now, according to the question, we must apply it. We must work on the island worksheet and apply it on column D. So we select the values under column D. Conditional formatting, icon set, then more rules. So here, the icon set that we are going to use will be flag. So we have to look for the flag. And then instead of percent, we must change it to number. Always make sure, because the values were numbers. Now, when it is greater or equals to 280,000, so here we choose greater or equals to, then the value will be 280,000. Then the second value is when it's greater or equals to 30,001. Like I said, we choose the minimum value. And then the third one, obviously, will be the red one, which is less than 30,001. Then you click OK. Right. So this is how we use the icon set. So take note. Right. There are so many questions. Like you must try your hands on 3 stat, which is also calculations. It's comparing the values for 2016 to 2017. So let's also check that one as well. Right. We open 3 stats. So I think that will be our last question regarding the conditional formatting. Then the rest, we look at other features, subtotal, and then other rules as well. Right. So I'll open 3 stats. Now, according to the question, it says, apply conditional formatting to only cells in column H17 up to H32 to automatically display the number in a green font if the 2017-2018 percentage change is greater than the 2016-2017 percentage change. We have these values here. We are comparing 2016 to 2017. I'm not sure whether it is this data set. Let's check the other one. I think it's not this one as well. I think the data set is different here. Let's check the question again. We should open 3 stats. Taj Mahal, that could be, I think, 2018 question. So basically here, we're going to use, I'll check the data, but we're going to use the formula 1 because we are comparing when it's greater than. Okay, now let's check other questions also. For entrance, adjust the settings so that the row headings, row 1 to 3, and then the spectator's full name A and B remain visible when scrolling. So let's check for entrance as well. Right. So the question says, row 1 up to 3 will always remain on top, visible, and then column A and column B also. So now, because the question wants row 1 up until row 3 to be visible, we move to the next row, which is row 4. You select the row 4, and then we call this one freeze pane. When you want certain group of rows or columns to remain visible, we use freeze pane. Now we go to view, and then you see freeze pane, then you click on freeze pane. So when you scroll down, that part will only be visible. Now again, they want column A and B to be visible. So we move to the next column, which is column C. Freeze pane from data, and then also you apply that one, the first column. So here goes to that one. So unless you unfreeze that part, so here we need to unfreeze to unlock that part. So we go to C, and then we can now freeze the pane. So when you scroll, only A and B will be visible. And when you scroll down as well, only 1, 2, 3. I think I made the first one. I should have removed the top one. So basically, that is how we insert the freeze pane. We need to go to this one and freeze, and then we freeze pane again. So only 1, 2, 3 will be visible, and then here also A and B. But this question is 2 questions in one. So to lock it, so row 1 up until row 3 will be visible, and then the spectator's full name will also be visible. So we have to apply the feature called freeze pane. You select, if it's about column, you go to the next column that will be vanishing when you scroll down, and then you apply freeze pane. Right. So don't forget to always go to freeze pane from the column. Or you can equally select multiple ones. Let me unfreeze. So remember, you select this, and then you select also this one. To make it easier, because there were 2 questions in one. Let me unfreeze it and make it easier for you, instead of you to do it one after the other. First thing is to go to row 4, click on it to select, hold down the control key, go to column C. So you have selected row 4 and column C together, and then you can now freeze the pane. You can now freeze the pane. Right. Now let's move straight to the next question. It says, 3 projects. Let's open the 3 project, which is also conditional formatting. 3 projects. Before we move straight to the subtotal features. Three projects. So always make sure that you solve questions, especially regarding the formula conditional formatting. That type of questions needs a lot. Now, according to this question, it says, fill cell A3 to appear the same as A2. Like I said, this is A3 to appear as the same as A2. So you just go to Format Painter, and then you come and click there. So that is how we use the Format Painter. Now, the next question, the data in column G incorrectly display values for recycling pollution. Apply conditional formatting or spreadsheet feature to column G to fill the cells with a color of your choice whenever the targeted pollution in column C is indicated as air pollution. So now we have column C as air and then land and different pollution. Now, according to the question, it says we must apply the conditional formatting to column G. So we have to select the values under column G. And then whenever the value here is air, it should select here or it should fill this part. So we go to conditional formatting, new rule, and then we choose the formula to determine which cell to format. Then we are comparing column C. So you click on the first value, which is C6, when it is equals to A. Don't forget to put the A in inverted comma. Now, like I said earlier, make sure there's no $sign. So we delete the $sign symbol. And then we go to format to fill with any color of our choice. So wherever it is A, then this side will be highlighted. So this is the formula type of conditional formatting. Please take note of that. There are so many questions that you can go through them. Now let's move straight to another spreadsheet feature called Subtotal. Subtotal features, which is always in spreadsheet, either question 7 or maybe question 4. Now, the subtotal feature is used to perform totals, what could be sum, average, based on a grouping. It is similar to aggregate function in database. Now, according to this question, it says, use the subtotal feature to determine the total distance covered by each. So now, how do we determine this? First of all, you must look for the function. Here it says the total. So the total meaning we will use the function called sum. And then also distance. That means the total on a distance. For each, because of this keyword each, or you can say by, or you can also see another keyword like per each or per. And now this is the column that we are going to group by, meaning we must group by this column, and then or you sort according to this column, and then the calculation will be done under distance. So that's how we identify the subtotal questions. Now let's start with the first one. 3. Right. So now the question says you must find the total distance for each. So we open the subtotal column or the subtotal worksheet. Now the first thing to do under subtotal is to sort your data. Now, because the question says for each trail, so meaning that we have to sort according to that column. And you have to highlight all your data. Then you go to sort and filter, then custom sort. So here we are sorting according to the one that the question says for each, which is the trail. You must take my data has headers, and then here you select the trail, A to Z, then okay. Now, after sorting, you go to data, you'll find subtotal. Now, where it says at each change in, you select the column that you sorted according to, in this case, trail. And then the function is sum. Why is it sum function? Because of the word here, total. So here we choose sum. And then it says sum of the distance. So where it says subtotal 2, we choose the distance covered, not elevation. So be careful, these 3 areas. At each change in will be the column that you sorted according to. Use function, look for the function that the question is asking you, whether sum or average, and then add subtotal to. You take the column that the question wants you to do the calculation to. Then here is very important. If the question says page break between groups, like last year question paper, they were asked to put a page break between each group. So you take this part. And then here, summary below data. Summary below data. If you untake this part, the summary will be above the data. If you take it, the summary will be below the data. Then you click OK. So this is what we are going to have here. It is going to group according to trail, all of them together. And under it, you see bright trail total. That is the sum. So sometimes you can also get it as a screenshot. So each of them will be grouped and then the total will be there. So basically, this is how we apply the subtotal features. Right. Now let's look at another question regarding subtotal. We look at another question regarding subtotal. Okay. We check another subtotal question. So all these are other spreadsheet features that you need to know. The conditional formatting, like this one is about duplicate. We will also come to the duplicate values. Now here, 3 work. Use worksheet 2. Use the subtotal feature to display the average pension. So in this case, the function to be used is average pension fund. So average will be on the pension fund. Average will be on the pension fund per employer type. That means we are going to group according to employer type because of this keyword. Right. Now let's open it. 3 work. So we will first group according to the employer type, and then the calculation to be done will be the subtotal. So this is sheet 2. We first select. You go to sort and filter, custom sort. Now here, don't forget to always take my data headers so that to include the heading. Now here we're sorting according to, let's check where it says per or for each. Now according says for each employer type. So we meaning that we have to sort according to employer type, which is this one, and then okay. Now we go to data, subtotal. At each change in, don't forget to select the column that you sorted according to, which is employer type. Function to be used, the question says average. So we have to use a function called average. And then the question says average pension fund. So subtotals too, we have to take pension fund and then okay. So for each employer type, you will see private average and then the calculation will be here. Now, mostly if you want to check, you will see subtotal 1 and then the column. Now the 1 meaning average. So if you made a mistake, you can also change it. If I change the 1 to another function, which is 2, which is count, 3. So each one has a number. So that's how subtotal is being used. Right. We move straight to the next question. Here, about subtotal. Let's look at another subtotal question. For 4 seats, let's open the 4 seats. And it says, so this is a The first question is all about conditional formatting, 3-color scale, which we talk about, so you can try it. The midpoint is 200 and others. Now, it says use a spreadsheet feature to modify the worksheet to appear as follows. Now, when you have a screenshot, please watch out for this. You can see Friday, 8 September total. Saturday, 9 September total. Sunday, 10 September total. So when you see such, it means they group or they sorted according to date. And then now you see the function name next to it. Because here is Saturday, 9 September. Now there's a function attached to it, meaning total. Total means they use the function called sum. Now, on the same row, check the first row that has the Friday, 8 September. The only place that has values are the cat 4, cat 3, cat 2, and cat 1. That means the totals were applied on these columns. Here, there was no value here. It means they didn't apply the totals here. So whenever you have screenshot, watch out for this before you'll be able to see which column are you supposed to group according to, and then which column should you apply the totals to. And then check here. The answers were below, so they applied it below. Now, let's look at the question once more. It says we must do it on the subtotal one. That means we have to select our values. And then we sort. Where do we sort? We must sort according to date, because that is where we see the bolded sorted values according to Friday, 8th September, which is bold. So that one should determine or should tell you which column should you sort according to. Now, sort and filter, custom sort, and then you choose the date. Now, after sorting, go to data, subtotal. At each change in, you select the column you sorted according to, which is the date. We sorted according to column C. So we select that one. Right. Now, after that, you go straight to the function, which is the sum. And then the totals should only be applied to these values. Cat 4, cat 3, and cat 1. Now replace the current subtotal, and then the subtotal should be below. They didn't talk about average below it. So here we see them Friday and then the rest. It was sorted according to that. Now let's check here. The Saturday, September. This question says we must work in the subtotal worksheet. Yes. So Friday, 8th September, and then also Saturday, 9th September, and the date. So it was sorted according to the date. Right, now it seems it was sorted in descending order. So you can see here, it starts from the 8th September and that. So we have to check our sorting properly. So when we sorted our data, the order, let's check the order properly. Our sorting Friday, 8th September. And then here it also has it, the date. So from A to Z, first. So the Friday, 8th September, followed by the Saturday, 9th September, and then all the Sundays. Yeah, so here they sorted according to the date. Or if there you must check your custom also. Friday, or you can choose the new list. You can create your own new list. So which is Friday. Let's check again. Please enter the separate list, or you can just put your new list. The date. If you want to put a new date, but now, the one that already here does not fit to our own. So Friday, this one is the Wednesday, and then the 8th September is here. So meaning the Friday should be the first one. It means we need to sort from A to Z. And then we apply our subtotal based on the date, the sum, and then it should be calculated on this. Right. So all the calculations, if we check here, the first part, the calculations is done under Cat 4, Cat 3, Cat 2, and then Cat 1. And then you will see the day, and then also that day given to you with a total. Right. So the subtotal makes sure, first of all, you sort the data based on which column, and then followed by the subtotal features, and then which one was it grouped according to. Then you'll be able to select those columns. Now, we move straight to using wildcard. So that's all about subtotal. You can try most of the questions using wildcard. Now, wildcards are used for Countif and then the Sumif. So I'm going to use wildcards to solve the Sumif question and then the Countif question. But then what I will advise you learners is that whenever you are using the wildcard, take note. Even if it is one condition, you can still make use of ifs. Like for instance, Countifs can still take care of one condition or more than one, and then the Sumifs can also take care of more than one. Now, this question says, insert a function in cell C3 to determine how many schools from the Eastern Cape visited the zoo during December. Now, 4 excursions. 4 excursions. Right. So now, how many visited the zoo? Now, it means it's only one condition. This question wants us to calculate in cell C3, how many visited, how many are from Eastern Cape? Now, the provinces are having their initials. Eastern Cape is EC. Now, so we want how many visited Eastern Cape. Because of the keyword here, how many, or the number, so we use count with a condition, which is Countif. So we say equal sign, count, then you see Countif, or you can even use Countifs. Countifs can cater for one condition, 2 or more than 2 conditions as well. So Countif, click on FX. Now the range, you select the values under the province. You select the values under the province. And then the criteria, Eastern Cape, you can just type EC, or alternatively, you can just type E asterisk. E asterisk. That means begin with letter E. E star meaning begin with letter E. Count if the range E asterisk, that means begin with letter E. Letter E and other characters that we don't know. So that is how we use the wildcard. Now, let's say we want to calculate how many of these provinces has 2 characters. How many has 2 characters? Now, equal sign, count if, then you click on FX, the range will be from E7 up until E153. And then the criteria, if you want the exact number of characters, which is 2, we put 2 question mark. So 1 question mark means 1 character. So 2 question mark means 2 characters. So here we got 126. It means that if you count here, the number that are there with exactly 2 number of characters, we got 126. Now, if I make it 3 number of characters, 3 question mark, it gives me 21. That's the KZN. So if the question says find how many from KZN, and that is the only province with 3 characters, you can also use wildcard with a question mark as well. So take note, we are going to use this to solve most of our questions. Using wildcard, it makes your work easier. Now the next question says, in cell if 52, use the correct function to determine how many times South Africa has been a home team in their games. So Q4 Springbok. We check that one as well. How many times South Africa has been a home team? So because South Africa is this is the teams. We have home and away. So we want the home teams that has South Africa. So we want to calculate how many times can we find South African here. Now, according to the question, we must put the function in E52. Yeah, so we use count if because it's 1 condition. Don't forget, we can also use count ifs, even if it's 1 condition. Now, the range we select in column E. Criteria, we are looking for South Africa. So if South Africa is the only one with letter S, we say S star. But there's also other countries with letter S. So we just say SOU to separate them, star. So we got 4, only 4 from South Africa. Alternatively, instead of us to say South Africa with SOU, star, we can also say it ends with letter CA. So we can say star CA. You got 4 because South Africa is the only one that ends with CA. Or we can also get the same result by saying contains. When you say contains, you put star Africa. Star. That means contains the word Africa. Also, we got 4. So make use of wildcards to make your work easier. Right. Let's check another question regarding the count ifs and sum ifs. Now, 3 population. Insert a function in cell C4 to display the number of islands where the word part. So whenever you see number means count with a condition. Take note. So the number of islands where the word part appears. So let me open 3 population. So we will try and solve most of these questions regarding the Countif and Sumif. Remember, Countif and Sumif questions are always there in any question paper. Now the question says, in C4, the number of islands for column B. Now here is the column B. Here's our column B. Now you see island. All these formation. They said we must display where the island has the word path in it. Now, how do we solve that? Is equal sign count if range. You select the values under column B. Now, criteria, because the question says it contains the word path, we put star, path, star. That means contain the word path. Star, path, star. That means the path can be anywhere. And then, okay. So we got 10. 10 of them contains the word path. Please take note of it. These are higher order questions. Higher order questions. Now, star, path, star, that means contain. If you remove this star here, it means it ends with it. And if you remove the star here, it means begins with the word path. So take note. If I remove this last star, it means it ends with the word path. I got 0. If I remove this one and then I put it here, it means it begins with the word path. I got 8, because some of them begins with letter or path. Now, contains, that means before and after. So take note of that, how to solve this type of question using wildcard. Now, 3 countries. The next question. 3 countries. So I have just sampled most of the questions from previous question papers and then prep questions from different provinces. To make your work easier, you can try your hands on most of them. If there's a question that you don't understand, you can just put it in the comment section of this video and then I'll attend to you. Right. This question says, insert a formula in P13 to determine how many countries, the moment you see how many or number, the meaning it is count with condition, were first held in the 1980s in column B. Now, here the 1980s doesn't mean it's only in 1980. It means from 1980 up to 1989. 1980s, that means 1980, 1981, 1982, 1983, up until 1989. So here, the first condition is greater than or equal to 1980. And then the second condition is less than or equals to 1990 or 1989. Or you can say, greater than 1979. And then here is or less than 1990. So this is the 1980s, starting from 1980 up until 1989. So there are 2 conditions. And because there are 2 conditions, it needs what we call the Countifs, because there are more than 1 condition. Right, now let's look at it. The question says we must place it in P13. Where is our P13? Here. Right, so equal sign count with a condition. Because it's more than 1 condition. Like I said, you can also use Countifs for even when it is 1 condition. So Countifs, click on FX. Now the first criteria, we are using the year first held. You select the values here. And then the criteria is greater than 19, or you can say greater than or equals to 1980. And then criteria range 1, you select the same column for the second criteria. Then the criteria is less than or equals to 1989. So you can have multiple criteria for Countifs. So we got 24. 24 of them fell within 1980 up until 1989. Right, let's check the next question. Insert a function in cell E5 to determine how many hikers in column D covered on 18th November 2020 in column I. So let's also look at that. Right. We are supposed to put this answer in E5. How many hikers in column D covered 18 November 2020? So let's check first. You must first analyze your data. Now, in column D, covered 18th November 2020, column I. So here's our column I with the date. And then also we have here column D. By column D, we have only male and female. Let's check again. So because it's all of them, they didn't say male or female. Maybe I made a mistake with the question. Let's say how many male hikers? Yes. How many male hikers covered for the 11th of, because all these dates are what we call November 2020. All of them are November 2020. So the first thing we need to do in the building block, this question, we need to extract the day from here. So we can use building block to extract the day. We use the building block to extract the day from the date. Equal sign day of this one. Now we have the day. Right. So this day is the one we are going to use for the 11th January or the 11th November. Now, in E5, equal sign, Countifs. The criteria range 1, you select the values under gender. And now criteria, we are looking for male, which is M star. Then the criteria range 2, we select from the building block the day from that date. When the day is 11. Let's check. I think there's no day that's 11 here. There's no day that is 11. Oh, 18, sorry, 18. 18th November, not 11. So here is 18. M star male, and then here is 18. Let's check what is wrong here. Yes, it's general. This one should be number. This one should be number as well. So we have to format it as a number, and when it is 18. Always, you might get these errors if, let's say, they are not following each other. You have to always check the range. D8, yes, D8 up until D108. And then here must also be T108. So you must always check that your range both should be the same. Otherwise, it's going to give you error. So whenever you are done, always check your range of values. When you go check, the first criteria range must be the same as the second criteria range. If it gives you, let's say here is T8 up to T107, like this one, it is going to give you an error. So you must always cross-check. Right. So we got 5. First of all, you need to extract the date from it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you want to put the date 18th November, like that, is not going to give you the right. Let's check that one as well. So instead of us, learners who like challenging one, those who like challenging questions, and then here we type 2020 slash November slash 18. It's going to give us 0. If you want to type the date, it's always going to give you 0. So you have to first of all extract the day, the month, or the year from it. Or alternatively, you could have just say day of day. It's not going to even work. So the only way is to extract the day in the building block, and then you make use of the building block to solve your question. Don't forget that building block is there. It's been given to you to solve questions step by step. Right. So here should be T, but not I, so that you can now extract your work, and then here will be 18. So this was our answer. Count if D8 up to D108 male, which is M star, and then here T8 up until that, and then the value is 18. Right. So basically, these are some of the challenging questions that you must expect. It needs you to check properly. Now, for donate, insert a function or formula in cell F4 to determine the total. Here, the keyword is the total value of the highest amount donated. The total value of the highest amount donated. So let's look at what this question is all about. For donate, the total value. Now, whenever you see the total value, the total amount, it can never be count if. It is now sum if, sum with the condition. Now, the total amount donated, the total value donated, yeah. We have donated amount, so we want the total value donated of the highest amount donated. Now, several sponsors donated the same highest amount, so that would be the criteria. Equal sign, sum if, and then the range will be the amount donated. Now, the criteria will be the highest amount. So the highest, we have to use max, or it could be large, max of the same criteria. So because of the highest, so one function inside another function. Then you close your bracket. And then here, the sum range will be the amount donated. So this is our answer. The highest amount donated, then we add all of them. So this will be our formula here. Sum if the amount donated, the criteria will be the maximum, the biggest value. So you can see to select the biggest values. And then the sum range will be the donated amount. So this question wanted us to use one function inside another function. Now we move to the next question. 3 budget. Right. Let's open 3 budget. It says insert a sum if function in cell E3 to determine the total food budget of all the mammals that arrive after 2015. So we use sum ifs. Why sum ifs? Because the conditions are more than one. It says the total mammals. So we have to look for the mammals and then that arrive after 2015. That arrived after 2015. Yes. So before we do this, there's a date also. We need to use the building block to extract the year. So in the building block, we have to extract the year from it. So whenever you have a date for your sum if or count if, make use of the building block to extract it to the year of this. And then you can autofill. Now we can here insert our sum ifs. So in this case, the sum ifs total food budget. So you click on the FX sum range, the food budget, because the total food budget. So the sum range will be the food budget. And then the criteria range 1, you can start with where the mammals are, or you can start with the date. So let's start with the mammals, which is the animal class. And then the criteria 1, mammals. Let's check whether it's the only one with letter M beginning. So yes. So we say M star beginning with letter M. You must always cross-check your data. And then criteria range 2. Criteria range 2 will be the years that you have extracted here. And then the criteria will be, they say, after 2015, so to be greater than 2015. Right. So whenever you have a date, together with that, use the building block to extract the date. And then after that, you'll be able to solve your questions comfortably. Right. So basically, this is how we apply the sum ifs and the wildcard. Now, let's do 1 or 2 questions. And then I will urge you to also try other questions on your own. We have so many questions. Then we go to the last part, which is the graphs. We will do 1 or 2 combo graphs, and then we'll bring this lesson to an end. Right. So I will take this one as an example for sales. Now you can see the type of questions that these days they are asking. I picked this question from the current previous question papers. So you have to always check. These days, they want you to make use of wildcard. So you have to be careful about it. Now, according to the question, it says, work in the sales worksheet, insert a function in C5 to calculate the total price in column C for all the Hyundai I models. Now, in C5, total price, so we use the sum ifs because of the total. You click on your FX, sum range will be the price. So let's look for the price. You select the price values. And the criteria range 1. Where do we find the Hyundai, which is another brand? So we select, and then criteria 1, you can type it in full, or you start by saying H star, because I think that's the only one with starting with letter H. If you are not sure, you can go to the next one by saying HY star. Now, criteria range 2, I series. This is the model. So you select the models. Now, because we have I-10, I-20, and the rest, they say I series. That means all the I's, the I-10, I-20, I-30. So because it begins with letter I, you say I star. That means begin with letter I. You can't say I-20 or just I. Right. It was too narrow, so we have to auto-fill. So that is the formula here. Sum ifs. This one is the range, the sum range. And then there's the criteria range 1. That is where the models are, or where the brands are. H star, because we are looking for Hyundai, beginning with letter H. Then this column D is the models. I series, that may begin with letter I. So take note, you know this question, they wanted you to apply the wildcard. You cannot just type the value I and then the H. Right. Now, let's move on to the next question. Before we finish with our graphs. Insert a function to determine the total subscription fee, column D, for all the Netflix in column C. The total subscription fee for all the Netflix. So that's 3 platforms. So here we want the total subscription fee for all the Netflix. So you can use the sum ifs or even sum if. So equal sign, let me increase the font. Equal sign, sum ifs, and then fx. So the sum range will be the subscription fee. And then criteria range 1, where we see the Netflix. So criteria range 1 will be the column that contains Netflix, which is the platform. And then criteria Netflix is N star. That means begin with letter N. So we got 891. So like I told you, you can use the sum ifs and then the count ifs to also create whenever the criteria is only 1. You can do that as well. Right. Now, let's go straight to graphs. So make use of wildcard to make your work easier. There are so many questions. I will urge you to try your hands on them. And then where you have challenges, don't forget to let me know. Now, I'm going to go straight to, there are different graphs how to fill in, but I want to do one graph here, which is the combo graph. Three, Kenyan also, there's a combo graph there. There's a combo graph. Now, when you talk about combo graph, that means two or more graphs put together. Now, according to the question, oh no, it's three population. I'm sorry, three population. It's three population, that graph. Right. According to the question, it says, format the chart graphs to display as follows. Now you have been given graph, two graphs together. Now they want you to format it to display as follows. Because it's a combo graph, when you click on the graph, then you go to the chart design. You go to chart type. Because they have created a graph for you, and then you go to combo. Now, it's going to give you here the two graphs. Now, as you can see here, the first graph is column, the other one is line. So the area is a column. This one is a line. Start line the area, and then the density is a column. Now, because you want the area to go up, you take the secondary axis here so that it to go up with another axis displayed for you. So here we choose the area. That's what this graph wanted us to do. The area will now be the secondary axis with the line markers, and then the density will be the one, the primary axis. Right, then you click OK. So now you see this axis here, values here is for this area, and this one is for the primary axis. Now, let's check the intervals. The intervals here for the primary is in decimals. I think they're in decimals. Let me enlarge it to see. Yes, it's in decimals. Starting from 0 up until 0.45, you say in millions. Millions is also written there. So now we need to go to the axis here, the values. You right click, and then you will see format axis. Now, when you tick format axis, you are going to see here, there's thing here that's a display unit. It's a none. Now you change the unit to millions. It's going to do automatically for you. Don't forget this. Display unit can be thousands or millions or these things. So you must check whatever that is written here. That is the scale. We call it a scale. So here was in millions. And then let's check the other side. It goes up until 3,500. I think that one is fine for us. Right. And then we also check. I think that is all with a legend. So we go to this side and we need the legend also. The legend should be at the bottom. Right. So basically, this is what the question wanted us to do. So always you must check the properties. You must check the properties. They can ask you to also change this direction. You must select them, you right click, you format the axis, then you now check what you want to do there. Whether they want you to put a date or automatically based on their tick marks also there, check the marks, the labels, check how the labels are, and then also the label position, whether it's next to it, also check the numbers. So you must be checking the exit options. They can ask you so many questions, the directions as well. If you go to the alignment, the directions, whether rotate up or the direction should be in an angle which is 270 degrees or stack. So you must always check the directions of the text as well, or horizontal like we saw here. Right, you get that one under exit options. This side here is where we have the labels and others. Then here we have the effect, also shadow and others, the transparency as well as the angle. Then we also have the fill in, and then also we have the line, the thickness of the line. So basically you have to check all these, the compound line, sometimes they want the compound line and others. So you must go to the exit options and then you'll be able to modify them. Basically, that is all about graphs. If they want the labels, you click on the element, you also take the data labels. And data labels, whether it's inside or outside. Right. So that is how we deal with graphs. Now let's look at the last graph. Let's look at the last graph. I have this complex graph here also. Too general. Now, let's open it and see how that graph was created. It's also combo graph in different way. Now, they wanted to create a graph. We have emerald value and then the emerald options. And each of them here, the scale is the same for each. The salary range, they are the same. So all that you need to do is to select one salary range together with the values here. Then you hold down the control key. Don't include the salary range again because it's already given to you. They are the same. You go to the emerald options, hold down the control key and select it also. Then we go to insert chart. Insert chart. You can choose any chart or more options, or you can go to this side here and select different chart, all charts. Now this is the combo chart because you're combining two options. So it's a combo chart, all chart combo. Now, because these ones are three options, that's 0 to 14,000 and then others. And all of them were columns. So you choose clustered column again because they were all columns. There are no exits, secondary exits for anything. So you don't take, unlike the first one, they are all following each other. They are stacked on top of each other. Right. And then you click OK. So this is the trick for you to get that. Now let's check other options here. It's from 0 to 1,200, which was correct. Now this one was filled in. The first one was filled in. It was white. You can check if we have other options that has white color. If it's not there, you have to fill in that side with only white. So only that option, this first one, and then you fill in with a white color. You can also put the outline let's say black, and then you fill in with a white color. There we go. So basically, you must have the border around and that's outline. Let me redo that. When you select the first option, right-click, outline. Choose any color for the outline. Then fill is white color. That's according to the question. Right. And then the legend should be on top. So you go there. Legend should be placed on top. Then you put a title. The title is Emerald and Emerald option. So you type the title. So this is combo graph. Please take note. If you want to combine, you must make use of control key. After selecting the first option, hold down the control key, and then you select the second options. So that's how we do combo graphs. Combo graphs. There are different graphs. Let's check the last one before we bring our lesson to an end. We have these two combo graphs. This is pie chart, the bar graph, Q4 spring, and then we have to fill in and then with the values. Let's check that one also as well. The graphs were given to you already. So now you need to fill in with a picture. So like this one was supposed to fill in with a picture. When you select the graph, everything is selected. Click, we want the first one to be filled in. You click on it once and click again twice. So in other words, you double click and it will select only that one. Right click, you see fill with a picture from a file. So let's say I have this picture that I want to fill in. The question wanted you to fill in with a picture. There's no picture. I want to see any picture. I didn't copy that picture. Let me check any picture there. Yes. Now, you see, the moment you fill in with a picture, the picture will be stretched. It will be stretched. So now you need to go to the options. You need to go to your options here. And now you remember we were doing the fill. You can go to more options, any of them with the more options. Or you can just right click and then you go to the option to give you. Now, the filling is this one. Fill, go and check. We fill with a picture. We fill with pictures. And then go and check here. Stretch, you take with stack. So that they will be stacked inside in a small one. Or sometimes stacked with scale. The question will tell you which one should you pick. Right, so watch out for this when you are filling in with the more options. Now, the transparency is also there. If I want to fill in with colors, it's very color by point. You take there to have different colors. To have different colors, it's a very colors by point. So take note of that. If you fill with picture, make sure you go to the stack picture, not stretch, stack picture. Right, so that's about filling and then the very colors also. So most of the things, this is what is expected. And this question also wanted us to put data labels. You go there, data labels. Data labels. And then outside or inside based on the question. Right, so this is all about graphs. Try your hands on this. And then pie chart, we'll check the 3 budget whereby you have to take it out. Also, try your hands on some of these graphs. This type of graph is also not a column graph, it's a bar graph, so you must take note of that. Now let's look at pie chart. 3 budgets. Then we close today's session. 3 budgets. The graph was created for you. Now they want us to modify that graph to take out the largest. So first of all, you click on it, click and put data labels, curl out to have the values. So the largest is 40%. Now to take out the 40%, click on it twice, 1, 2, then you drag it to take it. Now, I think that question, they rotated it. They rotated, no, the smallest, sorry. It was done on the smallest, 1, 2. So it was taken out. And then again, it was rotated. So you must go to that format. And then the slide rotation. You go there, angle of first slide, the one that you have selected, to rotate it to that angle. Right, let me read you so that you know how to rotate. This question was a high order question for my grade 12s. Right, it was like this. Good. Let me undo. Now, you double click to pull out. It was like this. So I double click to pull out. You right click and go to format data point. It's going to give you the data point series, which is the angle and exploration. So here you can check the angle also if you want to pull out. Now the rotation, you go there to rotate it. So that's how we pull out and we rotate, right? According to the question. They gave you a screenshot and they want to do that, and then you put the heading as well. So basically, this is all about graphs. Don't forget to try your hands on these. Watch the video, subscribe to the channel. Next lesson will be during our holidays. We are going to focus on database and then also HTML. Thank you for your time.